What's going on, everyone? So let's talk about Gabe Vincent as we kind of move towards the roster, as we get into training camp, kind of breaking down all the players. And I want to go into Gabe Vincent. Now, when we originally signed Gabe Vincent, we were pumped, right? We were all excited. You talk about a guy who was the third best player on Mini Night's second best player on a finals run. He was the guy with the ball in his hands down the stretch, hitting big shots and, making the plays and making the hustle plays. I remember very vividly that one loose ball where it was rolling down. I think it was the boss. It was rolling down and he just out hustled everyone, got to the basketball, was able to get the timeout. They got the ball back, got key stops. He was just everywhere. And then we signed him for $11 million on a multi-year deal. And it was man, this could be huge for us, right? This could be the answer that we've been looking for as that point of attack 3-and-D style guard. He's the ideal kind of guard that would fit or has historically fit well alongside LeBron James, right? This is great. And then he ends up getting hurt. And it was and when he did play, he was abysmal, terrible, 11% from three bad, just 20% from the floor. I mean, the guy was awful. And it was oh, here we go. Another Miami guard, the Kendrick Nunn situation all over again. And then last year comes back, getting back from injury. And it's okay, well, hopefully things turn around. And it's not really a Kendrick Nunn situation. And it was abysmal, right? For a good majority. Right, he was really rough. But when he came back from injury, the first 30 games or so, I mean, again, was the worst offensive player in basketball, one of the worst statistical players in all of basketball. Not my opinion, a literal fact. He was awful. And then he just started getting comfortable, started to kind of fill in. And then the back half of the season was over 38% from three-point range. And he actually finished the season pretty well from three-point range and just stat-wise, period. He's on the right side of 30. He just turned 29, so he's still young enough to be a piece. Yes, it's more likely than not that I think that the Lakers probably trade him at some point, as he is an $11 million expiring contract. But he has the potential. If he can be what he was towards that back end of the season, the entirety of the season, and come playoff time, then I don't want to trade him. He's exactly what we need, right? And I'll get into that more here in a moment, but last year he played 72 games, which is the most games of his career, by the way, but that was great. Hey, if he could do that, averaged 21 minutes per game, shot 35.3% from the field on the season, on 4.3 attempts, which is not great, right? It's not terrible, but it's not great. But like I mentioned, for the first half of the season, he was shooting I think it was 19.2%. It was under 20%. And then he just, the rest of the way, the back half of the season, for the final 3 months or so of the season, he was shooting 38% from three-point range. So it all just kind of averaged out at the end of the year at 35.3%. So can he be closer to that 38% on the season? Right? Even if it's 37%, that's fine. On 4 or 5 attempts per game, him being that defensive, he's going to have a full training camp, a full offseason of preparation and health and working on his shot and working on his game. And, there is a version of this where it goes really well with him. And he is shooting 38% from three-point range. And he is this point of attack defensive guard for us. I mean, the beauty of Luka is that he is 6'7", so you can put him at that point forward position. He's the guy who's going to have the ball, but just like LeBron. And you could do lineups where you have Gabe Vincent and Marcus Smart out there as the 2 point of attack guards that are able to defend and switch and do all those things, kind of be those pit bulls up front, right, in the backcourt for you, attacking opposing guards. And then on offense, so defense, Luka could slot in and play the 3 with those two. And then on offense, they're just initiating the ball, getting the ball to Luka, and then they're playing off ball anyway. Right? Just like what would happen with LeBron, right? That's what the idea of Gabe Vincent was, right? He's not this slice and dice playmaker just picking teams apart with his playmaking. No, he's a guy that's bringing the ball up, initiating, getting you into your action, getting it to a guy like LeBron, and then playing off ball, moving without the basketball, being a catch and shoot 3-point shooter, which he's capable of doing. So if he can kind of get back to being that for the Lakers, then I do think that there is a path where he could be very good. He's a little undersized. at 6'3", right? But he's a guy that he can defend 1 through 2, right? The 3 spot, he's had moments. We've seen him at times be able to defend well, at the 3 and defend bigger, but he's not like to the level in which like Marcus Smart is. Like Marcus Smart, especially as he's gotten later and later throughout the course of his career, you've seen him just get better at defending big, defending threes. He also has that 6'9" wingspan, which Gabe Vincent doesn't have a 6'9". There's not like an official wingspan listed. It's unofficially 6'7". I don't really think it's 6'7". I think it's probably closer to 6'5", 6'6". But let's just go on the 6'7" number, right? 6'7". But to me, I think that Gabe Vincent, if he can and also it'd help if he's healthy, right? If he's healthy, then if he can show the ability to defend that 1 through 3 spot, then you just have so many different creative lineups and you can trust him more. And, you're going to have guys like Luka getting the night off. You're going to have guys like Austin Reeves getting the night off. Also, if you can kind of keep minutes down and keep minutes low, and Luka doesn't have to play 40 minutes a night, and Austin Reeves doesn't have to play 40 minutes a night, and you can kind of have these different ways. Plus, it'd be nice to have Gabe Vincent. Think of all the guards in the Western Conference. It'd be nice to have a guy in Gabe Vincent that you can throw at opposing teams' guards, kind of create these waves, right? You look at, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're not the best team, the best shooting team or anything like that. They're the best team last year, but it's just they have these waves of guys and a bunch of 6'3". Like, it's not like they have everyone on the roster is like 6'8". It's why they struggled against guys like or teams like the Lakers, right? Because the Lakers have the size that most teams don't. But you saw, like, they're able to just throw waves of guards. You run an Anthony Edwards, like, okay, you're not going to stop Anthony Edwards, but over a course of a 7-game season, you can start throwing guys at him. And so you could do things like throw Marcus Smart, throw Jared Vanderbilt. I talked about Adou Thiero being an assignment guy and giving him some spot minutes. Gabe Vincent, right? Bronny James. You can start to throw these different looks at him, and again, you might not see the effects in game 1 or game 2, but as you kind of continue to progress through a series, suddenly it's like that guy's just one guy. He only has so many minutes in him. He only has so much energy in him. He only has so much legs in him. Right? At some point, he's going to start getting worn down, and you're constantly throwing fresh legs at that guy. Gabe Vincent can be a part of that. Kind of one of the ways that we were able to beat and slow down Jokic when we won the NBA championship in 2020. Right? And, Jokic was a different player than too, but it was, you're throwing Dwight Howard and he's getting physical and he's being aggressive and kind of just getting in Jokic's head. And then you're throwing JaVale McGee, who again, just gives you that size, that athleticism, that versatility, right? At him. Anthony Davis, and you're just kind of throwing these waves, and Jokic is just one guy, so he's getting banged up and hit and smacked and good hard playoff fouls, and he's got to go up against these different looks and these different matchups. And the Lakers, you just constantly throwing fresh legs. That's a big part that I could see with Gabe Vincent. If I had to guess, though, I think he gets traded by the trade deadline. One, I think if Bronny James is half decent, I definitely think he gets traded by the trade deadline. Even if Bronny James isn't, I could still see him getting traded by the trade deadline. I just think it would make the Lakers might look at it as more digestible if Bronny is like half decent for them, or a Adou Thiero, maybe you could do Thiero and be like, hey, he could be bigger. Because the other thing is too, is like you have several guys that can initiate. You got obviously LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Luka Doncic, who you're always going to have 1 or 2 of them on the court at all times. So you're not really worried about playmaking or guys initiating. They can do that. But even then, from there, you have Marcus Smart that can come in and initiate. Bronny James could initiate. You're talking about him just literally just bringing the ball up, giving it to LeBron or Luka, and then playing off ball. You have several guys that I think could initiate the offense for you and kind of do that. So you don't really need Gabe Vincent as that sort of initiator. You could use his shooting if he could stay around 38%, and you could use his defense. But if you could get somebody that is, has the size 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", then I think you do that. I'd rather have that guy, right? Like, I'd rather Adou Thiero shoot, say, 34%, right? And have him play more than Gabe Vincent if, say, Gabe Vincent shooting 38%. right? That 4% difference, I just think, assuming, a dude Theroux actually shows the defense that he's projected to show. He was looked at as one of, if not the best defensive players out of this draft, right? He was looked at as like, hey, say whatever you want about him. He can impact the defense immediately. So if that's true and he can play that level of defense, but he's not he's like 33, 34% from three-point range. I'd rather have him because of his size, his length, and athleticism. Give me the 6'7", 6'8", with a 7'1" wingspan and a 41-inch vertical that can defend 1 through 4 and even challenge at the rim against opposing fives than the guy that's 6'3" with, let's say the 6'7" wingspan, who isn't like super athletic, who really can only defend 1 through 2 and on occasion certain threes. I'd rather have the bigger guy. That's not even counting if the Lakers can go pull off a trade or whatever. I also think that there are some teams that would probably like and could use a Gabe Vincent as we progress into the season. Right? I think there's some teams that could use, like a Phoenix Suns team, I think is going to come to the realization of like, hey man, we could probably really use a Gabe Vincent. You never know, a team ends up missing a guy or losing a guy or whatever, or it's not working out with a particular guy, and it's like, hey, or you just need that stable vet in the locker room, and it's like, man, Gabe Vincent could really help. So I do think Gabe Vincent, outside of just the expiring contract, will have some value. I mean, there were reports that the Lakers could have already traded Gabe Vincent, but want to wait and see into the season, what does he look like? There are reports that you could trade him and Jared Vanderbilt, but the Lakers have yet to do so. Now, that could be the trade just doesn't make sense, or the money isn't right, or whatever, right? It could just be that the Lakers really do want to see it, and that trade isn't necessarily worth it. Maybe it'd be worth it later on down the road, but right now it doesn't really change. Again, I don't want to see lateral trades. I want to see, actual growth trades and things that change. But, again, it's just, we've kind of had this tale of two Vincents, right? We've had the Gabe Vincent that is just unplayably bad, and it's like, dude, get this guy off our roster. And then we've had the Gabe Vincent where it's like, this is exactly the type of player that we were all excited for and jumping up and down with and thought could actually be a real impact for us. And if we can get that Gabe Vincent, then I think we're good. I think we're in good shape. I think life will be great for us. I think he could really be a difference maker for this Lakers team. But if he's kind of in the middle, or he's closer to the unplayable Gabe Vincent, then that could also hurt you as far as trade-wise goes. So it's just things that the Lakers are going to have to gauge and wait. And that's the problem. A lot of these guys are a bit unknown. A lot of these guys are big question marks for the season, because you got to see how they look alongside Luka, so on and so forth. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.